Welcome to Dr. Nurse Paul Show, hosted by Aspire RN and Dr. Paul. You are watching the USA Nurse Series, Chasing the American Dream. Dr. Nurse Paul is an NCLEX expert, having trained and mentored thousands of international nurses past the NCLEX RN for over a decade. He graduated with a Doctor of Nursing Practice in Texas Christian University. He is a registered nurse, an advanced practice registered nurse, and a certified family nurse practitioner. He also has completed a Certificate for Nurse Educator postgraduate course. Aside from teaching, he has extensive clinical experience in emergency and family medicine. He has over 15 years of combined clinical and academic healthcare experience. Dr. Nurse Paul is an immigrant from the Philippines. He is currently based in Houston, Texas, where he operates his business, Dr. Nurse Paul, and Aspire RN NCLEX Prep. He loves to share his life story of how he overcame his challenges to reach his dreams. He is passionate in helping nurses realize the American dream. So without further ado, let's all welcome Dr. Nurse Paul.
All right, we are now live and streaming in Facebook and in YouTube. Welcome to the Dr. Nurse Paul show. This is Dr. Nurse Paul. I'm streaming live from the islands of Hawaii. And for today, we have the first episode of the USA Nurse series, Chasing the American Dream. We're going to talk about the challenges to the American Dream, and we have a very special guest. We have Miss Tanya Freedman, and we are going to bring her live right now. We would like to say hi to everybody that are joining us right now. Please share to us your current location so we know where you guys are coming from. We have people coming from the Philippines and Kuwait. Hello, Tanya. How are you?
Hi, Dr. Nurse Paul. So excited to be joining you here today.
I'm so excited to see you here as well. Thank you for giving your time and spending your time with us today. I believe you're in a vacation, right?
I am actually on vacation. You are in Hawaii. I am in Las Vegas. So I'm just looking at myself. I don't have great lighting here in the hotel room. So I hope everyone can see me okay and hear me okay. But I'm really excited to be here and join you and join all your viewers.
You still look very pretty, Tanya, as ever. Thank you for joining us. And I don't want to take much time from your vacation, but today we're going to talk about challenges in the American Dream. Tanya, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Tanya Freedman, and I'm the CEO of Kinetics USA. We help healthcare organizations all over the United States by bringing in internationally educated nurses. We've done this for many, many years. We have brought through thousands of nurses from 60 countries all around the world. And we have a lot of experience in helping nurses to navigate this very exciting but challenging process.
That sounds perfect. Thank you, Tanya. And so Tanya is the CEO of Kinetics USA, one of the leading international recruitment agencies. And we have a lot of nurses that are from Kinetics USA. We would like to shout out to all the Kinetics USA nurses. And we are so happy to see Tanya here, all right? And we will be announcing a lot of great stuff coming from Kinetics USA. So please stay tuned in this show. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, right? So we have people coming from Philippines, Doha, Qatar. We have someone from Iceland. Wow, that's cool. I
Wow.
haven't been to Iceland. We're reaching everywhere. We have people from Ghana and Kuwait. So we have people from the Middle East, from Africa, from Asia. And that's great. If you guys have a chance, can you please share this live show right now to your pages so we can reach more people and share these things that are really important to know for nurses that want to work here in the United States, right? And without further ado, I have a couple of questions that our dear guest, Miss Tanya, will be happy to answer for us today to share about the challenges, the opportunities that nurses coming to the United States would encounter, and that is based on her years, decades of experience as an international recruiter. And Tanya's been able to help a lot of nurses, so many people that she's changed their lives forever. And thank you for Tanya for always, wanting to give to the community. And she also does a lot of shows, right, Tanya, in her page, Kinetics USA. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. So just to share with everybody who's watching all around the world, and it's so fun to see all the locations that are coming up in the chat. But I was an immigrant myself. I came here, this year was 22 years ago. I came from South Africa with my family. It was my husband and my two kids. My oldest daughter was 8. My youngest daughter was 4. And it really was one of the most exciting, but also one of the most challenging and scary and overwhelming things I've ever done in my life. So from my side personally, this is just a passion and a mission to help nurses make a smooth transition, because it really is worth it. When I look at my life today, I look at Dr. Nurse Paul living the American dream, sitting in Hawaii right now, me in Las Vegas. We're living the American dream, which I know everybody wants for themselves and for their families, but it's not easy. So we really think of the process as if we are helping our brothers and sisters, and we want to take that care and make that difference and help make it as smooth as possible for everybody.
That's a great message, Tanya. And she's right. Tanya has been here in the United States longer than me. And yes, there's a lot of opportunities, but to be honest, there's also a lot of challenges that you have to go through as a migrant. And we're going to talk about that today. Okay. And Tanya, my first question is what is the current state of nursing migration in the United States?
Well, right now, the current situation, the word that I would use probably is explosive. We've been doing this for many, many years. We've helped thousands of nurses come to the United States. We've helped many, many organizations all over the country. And we have never seen a situation like we find ourselves in today, where there is such a massive shortage of nurses for many, many reasons here in the United States. Shortage even before the pandemic, but the pandemic has definitely exacerbated the situation. So we have more nurses retiring, not enough new grads coming in, new grads not staying long enough in the profession. We have nurse burnout. I think I saw a report recently that it is expected that 500,000 nurses will retire by the end of this year. So we have never seen such a dire situation in the United States with such a massive shortage. And that really is an opportunity for any international nurse that wants to come here.
That's a pretty alarming number. If you think about, we're losing 500,000 nurses in the healthcare workforce in the next 10 years, but there are, more people that are aging and getting these complex diseases. There will be not enough nurses to really take care of the population. Hence why United States is very much reliant to migration of foreign graduate nurses, because that's the only way to like increase the supply of nurses in the United States. And thank you for sharing that, Tanya. What are the opportunities in the USA for foreign nurses?
There are enormous opportunities right now. As I said, for those of us who've been doing this for many years, like never before. So what is happening is that almost all facilities right now are looking at international nurses as another piece of the puzzle. It's like another tool in the toolbox for them in terms of their manpower planning. They're still going to continue to recruit American nurses. They're still going to continue to recruit new grads. They're still going to recruit travelers where they need to. But at the same time, almost all organizations are now having an international nurse strategy. And this is really good news for any international nurse right now who's watching the show and thinking, I always wanted to move to America. It seems a bit overwhelming or a bit scary. Where do I start? But there's a massive. From Kinetics USA perspective, we are direct hire, which means that we are not the sponsor, we are not the employer of the nurse. And we partner with healthcare facilities all over the United States. And we right now have thousands of open positions. So if you are looking to, if you say, I have a sister in California, I have a friend in Texas, I have an aunt in Florida, or I really want to go to work in the Big Apple, whatever it is that you want to do, you can choose opportunities and you can choose locations. And on the direct hire side, you get paid the same as an American nurse. So there really is enormous, enormous opportunity.
All right, and thanks for mentioning about direct hires. So what's the advantage? This is just a side question because you've mentioned it. What do you think is the advantage between being a direct hire nurse and a staffing agent? How does it affect the foreign graduates coming over here? Okay, I think, sorry about that, problems with live show. I think we've lost Tanya, and we're gonna have to wait for her to come in a bit. Our team, we'll start communicating with Tanya so we can get her back into the show. I think Tanya has just come in. Let's bring her back in. Hello, Tanya.
Sorry
You are
about that.
back live.
I
It's
know,
okay.
this
It
is
happens.
live.
This is what happens with life.
Um,
But yeah, so
so,
yeah,
and
yeah,
go
go for
ahead.
it, Tanya.
So that's a great question, Dr. Paul. The
Mhm.
difference between direct hire and staffing, there are many organizations that do direct hire and many that do staffing. And it's really important for an international nurse to educate themselves about this difference. Kinetics do direct hire. Direct hire is where you are sponsored and employed directly by the healthcare facility, and you can choose your location. You also will earn the same as an American nurse. And typically, the commitment is a 3-year commitment. It's permanent residency, so it's a permanent full-time position, but it's typically a 3-year commitment. The staffing side, and there are many reputable staffing companies, it's just a different model, is where you will have the staffing company will employ you and will sponsor you, and then it's kind of like an outsource to the healthcare facility. So it's just a different model. Typically on the staffing side, you will earn prevailing wage, and which is a legal wage, but it is a different model. And I'd like to just give a shout out to O'Grady Payton, who is in our AMN family. So Kinetics were acquired by AMN, which is the largest healthcare staffing company in the United States, in May this year. And O'Grady Payton is our staffing sister company. They are the only company in the United States on the staffing side that have a 2-year commitment. So it just depends what you're looking for. They're different models.
That's good. I was a direct hire nurse myself, but I think it's also important to be able to choose whether it's direct hire or staffing agency, to be able to choose a company that's actually stable and will not, close their business while their nurse is waiting for the process to be completed. Because sometimes migration process can take years. And I remember back in the retrogression when I was still in the Philippines, it took me 9 years to get here to the United States. There are a lot of companies that were hiring when I was still a new nurse that were no longer existing when I came over here. So I guess it's important to choose a very stable company. Um, Either you go direct hire or staffing agency route, there will be more resources, more help, benefits are better, and they can place you wherever you want to go. Did I say it correctly, Tanya? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you said that really well. I think the key point here is for any international nurse to educate yourself. And that's where I think your show, Dr. Nurse Paul show, is such a great opportunity for nurses to learn and educate yourself about this process. I encourage people to watch every Friday. Kinetics USA have our own show, Onwards and Upwards. We also have that's every Friday. And on a Monday, Kinetics College, which is an educational show. But I think that's where it's really important for nurses to learn and listen and educate yourself about the different models, how things work, so that you can make the best choice for yourself and your family.
Right. And Tanya, there's a question here in the comments. I'd like to read it, and please help me answer this. It says the visa bulletin for November says that the Philippines is still current for EB3 visa. Does this mean that the predicted retrogression might not happen within this year? Do you have any idea about this?
So that's a good question. Every month the visa bulletin comes out. We were very excited to see that it is still current, especially for Philippines. And nobody really knows exactly if or when there will be a retrogression. But I would encourage everybody to watch. We have once a month on our show on Onwards and Upwards. We have our expert legal panel. In fact, we have that show next Friday. I always ask that question to the expert legal panel because obviously they have a lot more insight than maybe you or I do, Dr. Paul, in how the immigration numbers are going to pan out every month. And every month we ask that question. So I will be asking it next week. So please tune
Yeah.
everybody to that show, and we'll keep you updated as the situation evolves. But right now, the good news is that it is current, which means there is no great international nurse to embark on their journey of coming to the United States.
Yeah, and I'd like to add on that if it's current, take advantage of it. Like I said, with the retrogression back in my days, I had to wait 9 years, but it still didn't remove my desire to come to the United States. I know eventually I was going to get here. I just have to be patient. But, the struggles of waiting for 9 years versus waiting for 1 or 2 years are pretty much different. It can make a whole difference with as far as financial stability and all that, right? Because that's why we're all coming over here. But if it's current, take advantage, take your NCLEX, go get yourself recruited by a reputable company. Partner yourself with people that can help you get their NCLEX prep courses, English examination, processing centers. You have to invest in these things because retrogression might happen sooner. We don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or next year or in the next 5 years. We don't want to wait for retrogression to happen before we start acting. But even then, I don't think we should be scared with retrogression because retrogression is just a way for the immigration system to slow down migration from one certain country. It's a protective measure that this law was passed decades ago to protect the United States from having a lot of um, specific country coming over in swarms to the United States. So they want to make it equal for everybody to migrate to the United States. And retrogression may be scary to to hear, but you would still get here. Eventually, you're gonna get your visa and you can fly to the United States. But then again, since it's wide open right now, visas are available. Might as well take advantage of it. And what do you think is the first step, Tanya? Another side question. If they're interested, for those viewers that are not NCLEX passers yet, are not decisive about going to the United States, what do you think is the first step that they should work on?
Well, it can feel very confusing and very overwhelming for any nurse overseas that looks at this process and says, oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start. It's just so scary and just so many questions. So I think the first place that anyone needs to start is with their NCLEX. And that's where, if you look at the program from Aspire, they have, and we've done a lot of research on the Kinetics USA side, looking at different vendors. There are lots of people that offer NCLEX courses, but Aspire's course is pretty unique because it really does give you the perspective of an international nurse, and the methodologies and tools that are used are really in line with what an international nurse needs in order to pass the NCLEX. So that's really the first step for any nurse that's looking to come to the United States.
All right, that's a good. Thank you, Tanya. But yeah, that's what we do in Aspire RN. Since I'm the lead instructor, being a migrant nurse myself, I think I I was aware of the educational gaps, of the cultural gaps that should be actually considered when creating an NCLEX program. So that's the unique thing with Aspire RN, because we don't only teach, but we also take into consideration cultural barriers, language barriers. We do personal mentorships to really get into, making sure that the student is progressing towards passing the NCLEX versus stalling or not passing the NCLEX because they're just doing the one size fit all program. But we're going to talk about that in another meeting. My next question to
Just,
Tanya, which is, I think, yes, go ahead,
so,
Tanya.
sorry, Dr. Ward. I just wanted to add one thing, and that is, for many nurses, they think that they can do it on their own. And the one
Mhm.
thing that we've learned over all the years that we've been bringing international nurses to the United States is that you need to surround yourself with the right resources. You used a key word when you were talking earlier, and that is invest. You need to think of this as an investment in yourself. And it's very difficult, especially when you're working full time, you've got maybe a family to take care of, you have limited time and limited hours in the day. The opportunity is now. There is a massive opportunity. International recruitment has never been such a hot topic as it is right now in the United States. So you need to surround yourself with the right partners like Aspire to help you get through that first step. And one thing, Dr. Paul, that I'm going to also have our team do is send you, we have on our website a success path. It's the 7 steps that you need to take in order to come and live and work in the United States. We'll send that through to your team. It's actually on the Kinetics USA website, but we'll send that through to your team because it's kind of like a nice graphic to show nurses how to go step by step by step through the process. So it kind of gives you a roadmap.
Sounds good. I would really appreciate that, but what I'll do is I'll share it in my social media too, because I think that's a very important tool for nurses to know what should be the first step and what should be next. So there's progression. Because I think a lot of nurses are really confused right now because of all the intricate processes with taking the NCLEX, applying for NCLEX, English examinations, and visa processing. So um, I mean, tools like that will really help them focus and know what they needed to do. But my third question for you, Miss Tanya, is what are the most common challenges encountered by foreign nurses in chasing the American dream?
So that's a big question. Let's get real. There are challenges. Unfortunately, the good news is there are solutions to help you through those challenges, but they definitely are challenges. So I would say the first is not knowing where to start. And that's where I would encourage people to look at that success path from Kinetics USA because it gives you the roadmap step by step of how to navigate through the process. The second step, I would say, is probably the NCLEX, which I know we've touched on now. And I think is the biggest challenge because if you look at that success path, you cannot be filed for your I-140 for a consular green card process until you've passed your NCLEX exam. So the NCLEX, I would say, is probably the second biggest challenge. The third biggest challenge is the English exam. If you are not trained in English, you do have to pass an English exam. In fact, most nurses are more scared of the English than maybe the NCLEX exam. The good news is that on the 1st of August, the CGFNS made a change, and they now no longer just accept TOEFL and IELTS. They also accept other English exams in order to test your language proficiency, like Pearson PTE and OET. So there are more options now. And as a Kinetics USA nurse, you actually get a free course to help you through the English challenge. So I think those are the three biggest challenges. The last two that I would probably add to that is just the immigration process. It's so long, it's so complicated, it's so confusing.
It is very complicated.
Yeah. Dr. Ball, you shared your story.
9 years.
It sounded like a bit of a nightmare. So congrats to you for holding out and having the perseverance to make it through the process. But the immigration process and just understanding that is difficult. And then I would say the fifth challenge is when you arrive here, many nurses don't realize or underestimate what culture shock means. Culture shock is a real, well-documented phenomenon. I've experienced it. You've experienced it. It's not easy when you get here from a clinical and a social, cultural, family perspective. So I think those are the 5 main challenges.
Those are pretty great points, Tanya. And I love that you highlighted the most important things that migrant nurses would need to know. And I wish back in my days there was a talk show that talked about this because we were young and we were so full of dreams, but we were really never prepared with the bad side of coming over here. It's not always rainbows and butterflies, is what they say, but NCLEX, immigration processes, culture shock, and all these things are very important to know. And this is why we're doing this show is to inform these nurses that, hey, these are the things that you want to expect in your journey to chase your American dream. And Tanya, how do we overcome these challenges?
So I think the first part of overcoming challenges is knowledge. Knowledge is power. And if you know something's going to come up, then you can kind of wrap your head around it beforehand and mentally and emotionally prepare for it. So, for example, if you know that culture shock is a well-documented phenomenon, you know that the emotions that you're going to feel in the beginning is you're going to have the honeymoon phase, and then when you arrive here, and then after a few months, it becomes very challenging. You might have a lot of things that you need to learn all at one time. So There might be clinical differences, working where you worked overseas as where you working now in the United States. There might be social challenges, like things like you don't know what credit is, you don't know how to build your credit, you don't know how to pay your taxes here in the United States. There might be family challenges. For example, maybe your spouse is not working, or your kids are in school and they experiencing different negative emotions like sadness or homesickness and missing home, things like that. So I think the biggest area of overcoming that is knowledge, because if you know that you're going to experience culture shock, then you can prepare your mind and your family's mind emotionally and mentally, that when you're going through it, you can say, oh, I'm going through culture shock. So this is going to pass. It's going to get better. And these are the things that I need to do in order to get help or resources to help me through this transition time. So I think that's one of the biggest areas, is that knowledge is power. Empower yourself about what those challenges are so that you can prepare, and you can also gather resources to help you with whatever that challenge is.
And that's correct, Tanya. And we've collaborated with so many free talk shows that we did in the last 2 years, talking about all these challenges and what are the tips coming from real nurses that have lived these real scenarios. And I think you're right, knowledge is power. But knowledge is out there. You just have to know where to find it. And it's good because Tanya is doing all these shows and I'm doing all these shows to help our nurses to be prepared for what they would encounter once they start their American dream. And Tanya, I have a question here. I'm not sure if you have an idea of about this, but the question was, how should the incoming nurses in the U.S. reconcile their offered salary to their employers, knowing that the inflation rate in the country is rising?
So that's a really good question. I see from Acosta Mark, Abner. Inflation is obviously a worry right now. Inflation is at an all-time high in the United States. I can really just speak from the direct hire side, because Kinetics USA do the direct hire. And that is, you're going to be earning the same as an American nurse with equivalent years of experience.
Right.
And hospitals know that nurses in demand, they want to keep their nurses. I mean, let's just, say it as it is. So the salaries for nurses in all hospitals across the United States is rising. And there is a very important piece of that is that as a direct hire nurse, you're going to be getting the same rate as an American nurse with equivalent years of experience. So I think that can maybe give people a peace of mind that they're going to be earning well and the same as an American nurse, because an American nurse is not going to stand for it if they're going to be earning a salary that they cannot live on.
Right. So I think that's an important thing that we need to remember. Earning the same as what local nurses will earn or American nurses will earn. And that's very important because if like I've heard stories from migrants where they come over to their hospitals, their peers are getting paid this much and they're getting paid $5 or $10 lower. And that kind of like affects their perspective, their morale with working for companies like that. And recently, I've been seeing my friends. A lot of them are from Kinetics or hired by Kinetics. We're getting really good rates. I'd say above $40. I'm not raising expectations because again, the rates would vary from facility to facility, location to location, state per state. Like if you're in a rural state or rural city or a rural town, definitely the rates would be lower. But if you're in the city, be higher. But I've been seeing really great rates. I get a lot of private message. Do you think this is a great rate? I'd say it's a pretty great rate because back in our days, and that was only 5 years ago, I was offered $25. I got here and got multiple raises. Um, I mean, inflation is bad, but nurses are still earning pretty good money than a lot of Americans, and the job is so stable that even if there's a recession, nurses would still have jobs and not lose jobs. So don't worry too much about the rate, as long as it's within the legal prevailing wage or comparative to American nurses. It really doesn't matter if your peer here is earning 46 an hour and you got a 41-hour rate. There's so many variabilities with differences in rates, particularly with specialty, with your years of experience, and again location, cost of living differences, right, Tanya?
Yes, absolutely. I would encourage everybody, if you are worried about the rate that you've been offered by a prospective employer, is to check out. We had a show on Onwards and Upwards. You can probably see it on our website as well as our social media, our YouTube page, our Kinetics page, where we did a show on the cost of living based on the taxes, the salaries in relation to the cost of living and the taxes in each different state. So really important to check out that show if you are worried about a specific rate or you're not sure if that's a good rate or not, because you can never look at the rate in isolation. You need to look at the rate in relation to the cost of living and the taxes in that particular
Correct.
state. For
Mm-hmm.
example, a rate, I live in California, a rate might be higher in California,
Mm-hmm.
but we have much higher taxes and a much higher cost of living than, for example, a rate that you might get in Tennessee or in
Right.
Texas, for example.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It's really hard to compare. It's like comparing apples to oranges, is what they
Correct.
say. So, like for example, California nurses would earn about 70 to 80 an hour. In Houston, it would be 40 to 50 an hour. There's a lot of difference. You cannot say, oh, California is earning more or Houston is earning more. It's really hard to compare because we have to talk about cost of living and taxes and you know like how far are you from work, what's your specialty. Of course, if you're more specialized you earn more, right? And my last question, Tanya, before we end the session is, do you have any tips or advice for aspiring immigrant nurses?
I do. I would say if you are just thinking about it, get on it right now. There's never, I've been
Right.
doing this for years and years and years, more years than I care to even remember. I would say get on it right now. This is the time. There is a massive demand for international nurses. The visa bulletin is current. There's a lot of resources to help you through the English, to help you through the NCLEX, to help you through the immigration process, to help you through the culture shock. Now is the time to do that. And for those nurses that are already in the process or are about to arrive in the United States or arriving in the United States, my other piece of advice is to empower yourself with knowledge. Watching these shows is a great resource. Look at other shows, that Dr. Paul has done or that Kinetics have done or other resources that you can find to learn about different aspects of living and working in the United States, because knowledge, as I said, is power. There are lots of resources that are available to you, whether it's resources to teach you about certain things about living in the United States, like how to pay your taxes or what is credit, how to build your credit. Kinetics have many resources to help our nurses with that. Or if it's, you want to find childcare options, or you want to find where are the places of worship where you're living. There's just a lot of information and a lot of resources available. So be open to that. Be open to that. And I know for many international nurses, sort of, kind of brought up to be shy and to be timid and not assertive. You're coming to America. So in America, you need to be assertive and you need to be your
Right.
own advocate. And you've got to know that you've got to have a positive attitude. Attitude is everything. But at the
Hmm.
same time, there's a lot of resources to build a community, resources to empower yourself, to help you and your family make this a smooth and easy and successful transition.
Thank you, Tanya. That's a lot of information, and we still have a lot of nurses coming in, um, messaging us in the comments. Thank you for joining the session. Um, if you came in late, you can watch the recorded version later in my page, Dr. Nurse Paul, and we're sharing it across social media. So please follow us. And Tanya, do you want to talk about the NCLEX scholarships that Kinetics USA is providing?
Yes, so the NCLEX Scholarship is a new initiative from the Kinetics side. It's part of what we call the Kinetics Care Package. We offer a lot of things in the Kinetics Care Package, which is our way of paying it back, paying it forward, for nurses, and really helping nurses with making an easy transition. And the NCLEX Scholarship, you can apply to Kinetics USA online and see if you're eligible for the Kinetics Scholarship. This is a great way for you to get a lot of the costs of the NCLEX program and the NCLEX process covered by Kinetics USA or by one of the employers that we represent. And there's a lot of opportunity. This is for selected nurses only. You will have to pass a predictor test in order to qualify for the scholarship. So there are some requirements. If you don't manage to obtain the scholarship, though, please don't panic. Please come back to us once you've passed the NCLEX, and we would be happy to help you with your NCLEX journey. So please go online, apply to Kinetics USA. Our team are waiting to speak to you. We are here to help you. And if you are selected for the scholarship, congratulations. If not, please know that we would love to still help you once you pass the NCLEX.
Thank you, Tanya. And we've actually provided the link here on the screen right now that goes directly to the Kinetics USA website. It's cusa.link/AspireRN. This is the Kinetics link where you can put in your information and Kinetics USA recruiters will contact them. Correct, Tanya?
Yes, perfect.
All right. Mhm.
One thing, Dr. Paul, is I see there's some questions about the NVC or relocation or sign-on bonus. I don't know if you wanted me to answer those questions,
Yes,
or
please,
maybe go into
please.
the chat afterwards if you like.
Please feel free to answer these questions, Tanya.
So Acosta Mark has a question about the NVC and expediting DQ applications. We have seen significant delays at the NVC, unfortunately, even delays with the Texas Service Center specifically transferring cases from the USCIS to the NVC. From Kinetics USA perspective, and I know there are other companies that are doing the same, we're working very hard with the State Department as well as the USCIS to help rectify any delays, and we are seeing positive movement. So that is the good news. Kinetics are also members of the AAIHR, and we are also work with all the government affairs departments of all the hospitals that we represent. And there are a lot of efforts right now to get some of these delays and backlogs expedited and get the process moving smoothly again. Unfortunately, the pandemic did cause some delays, but we are seeing positive movement, which is good news. Mark Louis has a question about the relocation allowance and sign-on bonus. So because, Mark Louis, we are direct hire, every facility that we work with would have a different package. And our recruiters will be able to share with you what the specific nurse package is for that specific employer. I encourage you to ask questions. Make sure you understand the contract before you sign anything. It's very serious commitment when you sign a commitment. It's kind of like getting married. So we wanted you to take that seriously, and we encourage you to ask questions. Dr. Paul, are there any others that you see here that we haven't answered?
I'm not sure if I missed something, but if there are any questions that we have not answered, we will go back to the comment section later, and we're going to be chatting, me and Tanya, with you guys to answer your questions if we have missed some of those questions. But thank you for your time, Tanya. I'm sorry for taking your time away from your vacation, but thank you for joining the Dr. Nurse Paul show, and we hope to see you in future episodes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Paul. It was an absolute pleasure and so fun to join you today, and all the nurses watching from all over the world. And a last word from me is for everyone, if you are sitting in your home country right now and watching the show, all I would say to you is now is your time. Really, now is your time. I love that Dr. Paul has the Dr. Paul show right now, because really this is your time to make a difference in your life and really change the trajectory of life to living the American dream.
Thank you, Tanya. That's a very powerful message, guys. Do not wait. This is the best time for you to start your nursing dream. It doesn't matter if you're 50 years old. It doesn't matter if you've been out of nursing for 10 years. Come back. We need nurses here. There's a severe shortage of nurses. I'm still working as a nurse right now. I already have my NP certification because there's more need for nurses at the bedside. We're losing nurses as we speak. We're having more patients than we can handle. So please write down your goals and please put in your goal that you want to be an American nurse. So come over here and join me and Tanya so we all can have fun and see each other here in the United States. Thank you, Tanya, for your time.
Absolutely. We're happy to help. Thank you so much,
Yes, ma'am.
everybody. See you again soon.
We'll see you soon. And I also have a special guest for today. One of our NCLEX passers, Michael Cruz, will join us in the show today to share his experience about the NCLEX and any tips that he could give to future NCLEX takers. So let's bring in Michael. Hello, Michael. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, hi everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to wherever you are. So hi, Paul. Can
Hi,
you hear me okay,
Michael.
Paul?
Yes, we are hearing you
Okay.
clearly.
All
And
right, thank you.
Michael is based in the Philippines, right?
Yes. I'm
What time is
presently working. It's actually 11:43 p.m. here.
almost midnight? Thank you,
Yes,
Michael, for
yes.
joining the show. Would you like to
Yeah,
introduce yourself briefly?
yeah. Hi, my name is Michael Cruz, and I presently work in St. Lazaro Hospital based here in Manila, Philippines, and currently presently holding a nurse supervisor position.
Thank you, Michael. And you have passed your NCLEX recently. Tell us about your experience in the NCLEX RN.
Yes, that yeah, I would love to say that you or to give you some information about that. But this is one of the highlights of my 2022 year this year, and I took the exam January of 29. Uh, it's actually one hell of a ride. During from the start of the review process, it took me like 3 months and I could definitely say, and I know that the viewers also would agree with me, especially those who are also working and doing this review on the side. It's really difficult, and sometimes there would have you would experience a lot of exhaustion during the process, and also negative thoughts would keep coming in your head. And during the actual exam, so for the actual exam, it's really also a hard time for me. I never had a good sleep, because of because
Right.
of because of the fear of failing the exam. But I was able to conquer it.
Right. It's a very scary exam, right?
Yes, Paul, and also in addition to that, it's good thing that I have able to meet a group of good people who are actually help me out during the process, and because I've noticed that I cannot do self learning. I have to have a friend with me or set of friends with me that could actually pull me out or help me out to understand things better.
Review buddy. It's one of the favorite
Yes,
tips that I tell
yes.
everybody, like find your review buddy. Some people like to learn individually, some people like to learn in a group. And I always say as an educator, find the best way of how you learn. If it's with a review buddy, if it's with a group, then do it. Use your resources, make way for you to pass the exam. And thanks for bringing that up, Michael. That's a very good strategy.
Yes, and one of the also the reason why I pushed this examinations because I'm afraid of the upcoming changes to the NCLEX by next
New
year.
generation. NCLEX, yeah.
Yes, that's why I decided to take the exam as soon as possible.
I would be scared too, but I'd be honest with you guys. I took my NCLEX way back in 2008. It's been 15 years ago. And I recently took my nurse practitioner board exam last year, and that's more medical diagnosis and guidelines and treatments. I can honestly say that my nurse practitioner board exam is a lot easier than NCLEX. I mean, my anxiety level was really not that much with my nurse practitioner exam because with NCLEX, it's a very scary exam. You think about if I fail, this is a very costly exam. I don't have American dollars. I have to work hard for this money, and this money. I grew up where it's hard to earn that money. So I remember I always tell my students before that on the day of my NCLEX, and I sat on my desk and I opened my computer. First thing that I saw was my mom, right? I saw my mom in the computer screen and she said, if you fail this, we're not going to be able to pay your next exam. So don't fail this exam. But I mean, of course, I was hallucinating, maybe because I was scared. But I didn't want to fail my parents. I didn't want to fail my family because it's a very expensive exam. And I was really anxious during my exam too. And that was 15 years ago. I still remember how scared I was. But I mean, you got to do it, right? You cannot be overpowered by negativity and fear. You got to do it. So, 15 years later, I'm over here in the United States. I'm already a U.S. citizen, and soon Michael will be joining us here in the United States too. Are you excited about
Yes,
that?
very much excited, Paul.
Sounds good. And my next question for you, Mike, is how did Aspire RN help you pass the NCLEX?
Oh, I really love that question. You know what? I would like to say that this review center offers a lot, and let's start with assessment tool. The center offered a very good assessment tool wherein it would amplify where you have to to do an extra work on to particular topics or particular systems of or course that you really have to improve on. And they also offer help me to develop my own personal calendar so I could definitely catch up because working as a nurse is offer a limited time for it to study, right? So it's really important for us working nurses to have a very good calendar so you can actually assess which topics you have to improve on or which one is okay. You know what I mean. And then what I like about those also here is that Aspire RN offers a HIT class. I don't know if I remember it correctly, Paul. They call it um, high impact tutorials. Is that correct?
High
High impact
impact
tutorials.
tutoring. Yes.
Yes,
It's
that's
the last
actually
10 days of the review where you do
yes,
question
yes.
and answer 100 questions a day, and then we explain the
Mhm.
test taking strategies, right?
Yes, that's one of, I believe, one of a very good assistant that FIR provided me because it will give you a question and answer portion and it will help you to do good with your test taking strategy because it's not always about understanding the question if you really don't understand or if you really don't encounter it. So test taking strategy is one of the good company or protection for that.
That's
And
right.
also after the process, after the 10-day tutorial, you will have your personal mentorship or coaching session, wherein the lecturer would provide you exactly what you needed to do or to improve on particular topics because that's very much important. So we don't waste of time.
That's a very
And
comprehensive uh, review of Aspire. And yes, do you want to add more?
yes, and one more thing, it's also very important that they have to know that you have a recorded videos wherein for very much appropriate for a working student like me because you can hop in, hop off for during the review because you have we have a limited time to offer for the review part for during the review.
Yeah, that's very important. Well, I developed Aspire RN to actually cater to working students back in the pandemic. I remember when I launched Aspire R and we were targeting working student. This was 2 years ago. I built the company 3 years. It was almost 1 year in preparation, but I've been in the NCLEX industry for 15 years. And the curriculum that I developed myself is a curriculum that I've been using to my students for years. And I've helped a lot of nurses pass the NCLEX. A lot of them are here in the United States, and wherever I go, I meet them, which is kind of fun on my part. And sure enough, I think the curriculum that we've used worked because Michael was, highlighting all those parts of the review. But we do live classes, and these live classes are recorded. You can watch it unlimited times. Um, Particularly important for working students. And then you also get your personal mentorships, and then you get your test banks where you can do your test drills and develop your strategies, and then you get your hit classes towards the end to prepare you for the actual examination. So it's a very rigorous NCLEX process. This is why a lot of agencies, in international recruitment agencies, are trusting Aspire RN because of the way we conduct our NCLEX classes. So if this is something you're interested with, drop me a message in my Facebook account right now, Dr. Nurse Paul, and I can help you get started with the NCLEX process and giving you different courses or packages that may be appropriate for you. But anyway, Michael, there was a question here. Maybe you can help me answer this. What would you do differently if you were to start off today, prepare for the exam? Would you
Well,
do anything differently, or would you do the same strategies that you did?
no, I would do the same thing because it's already tested. So why would I have to prepare
Right,
for something that I am not prepared for?
right.
So
Thank you,
I
Michael.
will do the same thing.
So, and you've really prepared yourself. I've
Yeah.
seen your progress, Mike. I remember you enrolling in the program. I remember you very before you enrolled, you approached me and asked me, "Do you think I can do it? Do you think you can
Yes.
help me? I'm very anxious. I haven't opened a nursing book for years." And to tell you honestly, guys, Michael is my friend. He was my classmate in the master's degree. We both graduated same year from our master's degree years ago. We're not that young. We just look young, right, Mike?
Yes.
But I remember him very, very anxiously asking me if I could help him with the NCLEX. But I'm very confident with the way I deliver classes. And not only me, I have a dozen instructors that are helping me conduct these classes. I don't do all the classes all the time because also have other commitments on the business side of Aspire RN. What you guys don't know is I attend a lot of meetings, multiple meetings every week, and a lot of students trying to get counseling from me, and of course the Dr. Nurse Paul show. So really little time to do all the classes, but all the instructors in my review program are carefully selected by me, and I've evaluated the quality of their classes such that the students would feel that I'm still there doing the classes for them. But anyway, I remember Mike asking me these questions, and I said, you know what? Just enroll in my class. And he was one of my first students. This is back in 2020, right, Mike?
Yes.
In the
Yes. Yes.
pandemic.
Yes.
And honestly, Mike didn't review for 1 year. He didn't care. There was no pressures for him until recently. In the last few months, he was asking me, do you think I can take the exam? He sneaked around me, and I didn't realize he was about to take the exam. But then again, we have 300 active students, and Mike was assigned to one student advisor. I was like, oh my God, Michael is taking next week. How was I not able to know about this? But again, there's more than 300 students, active students right now with Aspire RN. So, but I was happy because even though me and Mike didn't really talk about his exam in the last few weeks, he was able to use all the tools and resources that I have provided for them. And I was confident when I told Mike, join my classes. I'll help you pass NCLEX. I'll help you get here to the United States. I said, I don't care about your money. If you fail, I'm gonna give all your money back because he's my friend, and that's what I told him. That's how I'm confident with my program. And here he is sharing his stories. And for our
Yes.
viewers that are about to take their NCLEX, and thank you, Mike, for doing that. My last question to you, Mike, is do you have any message to future NCLEX takers? Any tips, any comments, any suggestions?
Okay. First, I would like to adopt what Tanya says earlier. Do it now. Now is the right time. Because next year would be a different NCLEX. So that would be, I believe, more difficult than what we have today.
More
So
difficult,
second,
yes.
yes. And second, do not drop the ball. Keep it rolling. As what the banner says here, and chase your dreams. So do not stop, be committed, and stay focused. Surround yourself with the right people, with a good attitude, of course.
That's a very powerful message, Mike. I'm happy that you said that. Like, very important to surround yourself with same-minded people. You cannot surround yourself with people that are aversive to you or negative towards you and your dreams. If somebody says, you know what, you're not fit for the American dream, maybe you need to separate yourself from that person because they would not help you prepare for the NCLEX. And NCLEX may be hard, but then again, it's doable. Can you pass it? Definitely yes. Do I have to be the smartest student in the world to pass the NCLEX? No, because I was able
No,
to help students. They're not even they were having a lot of confidence issues about their knowledge past the NCLEX. And Michael is correct. It's all about focus. It's all about commitment. It's all about putting your American dreams first, like your goals toward completing your goals or meeting your goals by focusing on it. And there is no other time to do it but now. This is
not
the
this
best
time.
time. Immigration process is super easy. And NCLEX is still a little easier compared to what will happen next year, right?
Yes, yes,
And
definitely.
so many changes that are about to happen. But the best time is now. Do not wait tomorrow. Do not wait next year. Do not wait in the next 5 years. Do it now and see where it takes you. Right, Michael?
Yes, that's correct.
And thank you for joining us, Michael. We're about to wrap up this show. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your time with me and watching this live show. Thank you, Tanya, for being in the show with us. Thank you, Michael, for sharing his experience about the NCLEX. If you guys are interested with knowing more about the American Dream, we are going to do our second episode of Chasing the American Dream, the USA Nurse series, Chasing the American Dream of the Dr. Nurse Paul show on October 22. But hold on, special announcement next week, October 15. All right, the Nurse Paul show, The Secrets of Next Generation NCLEX will resume. Episode 2, we'll talk about the different types of questions. And we will have one more winner of the Surpass Pro, the NCLEX prep course, for those who will join the show. So watch out for the announcement of how you can win the raffle or the giveaway. We will post that in social media. And if you follow the mechanics and join me on the show next Saturday, you can win NCLEX preparatory course program, all right, for free as a scholar. So we are doing the Dr. Nurse Paul show every Monday. I'm sorry, every Saturday. I'm sorry, I'm a little sleepy, guys. It's 6 a.m. here in Hawaii. Every Saturday, 8 a.m. Central Time, so Central US time. So please join me, the Dr. Nurse Paul show, every Saturday, 8 a.m. Central Time. Next week, we're going to talk about the secrets of the next generation NCLEX. Thank you guys for joining this show. If we have missed any comments that we didn't answer, we're going to go back to it within the next 48 hours and try to answer your questions through the comments. All right. Thank you guys. You have a great day. We'll see you soon.
You have just watched the Dr. Nurse Paul Show. Watch us live every Saturday, 8 a.m. Central U.S. Time. For more info about our future events, follow us on our social media channels. You can find us at Dr. Nurse Paul on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. See you next week.